Hello there and welcome to this next video on variables and constants in the Python programming language. In this video, we're going to look at how to use variables, work out what to do with them, how to edit them, and how to output them, as well as looking at what constants are and the benefit of using those in your programs. But first, a little bit of theory on variables then. If something varies, then it's due to change. And that's exactly what a variable is. It changes during the lifetime of your program. So while your program is running, these variables can change at any time. They are temporary, they can be overwritten, and they can be deleted and removed. But think of it like a little box in memory. So we can have millions of them if we want to. However, these things are quite useful. In Python, we assign them directly. So consider your box here, and I wanted a variable called total score. The name is also referred to as the variable's identifier. So that is how we will reference and edit and put things inside our box. So total score is its identifier. So I was going to put 1089 inside the total score variable. And we can have as many of these as we want. So I've got another one here called substitutions used. I've got 2 in there, and I've got another one called money remaining, and I've got 1.90. And it doesn't have to be numbers, it can be strings as well. Any data type you like really can be stored inside variables. And in Python, it does it automatically. So it will assign these data types automatically to the names of your variables. Now, looking at the Python code for this, you can see that in red here. And the Python code says total underscore score. So that's my creation, my declaration of my variable. And I use the equal symbol, which means assign. So assign whatever's on the right-hand side into the variable on the left-hand side. So assign 1089 over into the total score variable. And the same with substitutions used. I've got substitutions underscore used equals 2. That will put the number 2 inside there. And then I've got money remaining. That's 1.90. That would go inside money remaining. And then I could just print them out and use them in calculations and things like that if I needed them. So that's the basics of variables. I'm going to do this in Python in just a second. Constants as well. Constants, if something is constant, it will stay the same throughout the life of the program. And that might be quite good for you if you've got a constant such as pi, for example. So we all know pi, the mathematical number, 3.14 in its basic sense. And we can use that. That will stay the same all the time. It doesn't change. So that would be a constant. Now, the thing is with Python, we don't explicitly write constants, and you can still change them throughout the life of the program. But we say that it is a constant because it shouldn't change. And when we write constants in Python, or if we do use them, we'd normally write them all in capital letters. And if it's multiple words, we separate them by an underscore. And that's just a good naming convention to show you that I've used or thought about it as a constant. So let's go over to Python and put some of these into practice. So I'm just using Visual Studio for this. I'm just going to select a Python application. And the name of this is just going to be variables and constants. And I'll save it somewhere on my desktop. There we go. And that gets created in there. So once I've got my project ready to go, then let's get writing some code. First thing I'll do is just write a comment. Variables. So before I could say, this is my variable, and I could say that is given the value of 123. Okay. I could say this is another variable, and that's going to have the string hello. Now Python will automatically create the variable to whatever data type you have put on the side here. And we've already done data types in the first video, so if you're not sure about these, then do go back and have a look. Now, it's important to think about what you're naming these variables, because we need to make sure that we have good self-documenting identifiers. So this is my variable. It doesn't really explain what this is. So what I would normally have, like I've shown you on the theory stuff before, total score. Well, you know that's going to hold the total score of something, don't you? Okay. Subs used 2. Okay. So here I've got loads of variables. Now, what can I actually do with them? Well, I can write the word print regretting the long names now. So I might print out the name of the variable. And we use the identifiers to access the variable as much as possible. So print another variable. Now that's fine. Now let me just run this and see what actually gets outputted to my console. I've got 1, 2, 3 and hello. So when we say print, that means output to the console. And it says this is my variable, which is this. So the program jumps to this and says what's inside there, 1, 2, 3, and then it outputs 1, 2, 3. I've also asked it to output another variable, which is hello. And that's it. That's all I've asked it to do so far. Now what can I do with this? I could say print subs used. And then I could say, so if I run that now, you should know what will be outputted here. It should say 1, 2, 3, hello, and 2, because 2 is the number of subs used. What if I wanted to make a substitution? I could say subs used equals subs used plus 1. What does that actually mean? Well, it means take subs used, which is currently 2, and give it or assign it the value of subs used, which again is 2, and add 1 to it. And then we take 2 and we add 1 to it, and then we store the result of that over and overwrite the variable. So if I just print this out, I wonder if you can think ahead and work out exactly what this is going to do. Notice I've got 1, 2, 3. That's line number 10. Hello is line number 11. Subs used is line number 12. Then line number 14 does the calculation. So it takes 2, adds 1 to it, and puts that inside subs used. And then I've outputted subs used, which is now 3. So here, what I've done is I've actually updated or incremented the variable by 1. And if you wanted to, you could entirely just delete everything if you wanted to. So total underscore score is given the value of nothing. Print total score to see what the result was before, and then print total score and see what the result is after I've set it to 0. There you go. So here's my total score being outputted here. So this is outputting line number 13, print total score. Then I've set it to 0, and then I've outputted it after subs used, so it outputs 0. So I can do anything I like to manipulate these variables, but they are unbelievably useful. I can put them inside something called procedures and inside something called functions. I can pass them as arguments, which you'll find out in another video later on what that is. But they are incredibly useful, so get used to using them as much as you can.